All right, so I am currently about 100 pages through Legendborn. I am really loving it so far. I was a little nervous. I actually started like a couple different audiobooks last night because I was just like, I don't know if I'm going to be like in that vibe, you know? And I was very skeptical if I would like this book, but I'm really loving it so far. Like, honestly, ever since we met Selwyn, I was like, okay, I'm hooked. You got me. Thank you. And we're finally starting to flesh out the world a little bit, and the tournament's about to start. So I am pretty excited for all of that because it kind of gives me like Throne of Glass vibes, which I really did like Throne of Glass. Don't come for me. So I'm going to try and read at least another 100 or so pages of it. Got my Sour Patch Kids sort of eat for a snack. Just going to read a little bit more tonight. Look, I do have another cat. He just likes to sit right here on the bed all day long, but he's so lovable and cuddly. Thought he needed a bit of a feature. This is Finn. He always looks down and not at the camera. Alright, so a little bit of an update. I am now on... I just made it to part 3, Roots, so that's about halfway through the book. So I'm feeling pretty good about that for finishing Legendborn in the time frame of the Simon Says Challenge. And I'm really loving this book. Like, I am so interested in it. I love Bree and Nick, and like their romance is blossoming right now, and I'm just like all the like warm fuzzy feelings of like a YA like romance book. But then you also have like, then there's also Selwyn, who I'm like kind of bummed that we don't have like more of him, and like that's not a romance, but that's okay because I really like Bree and Nick that much, and like that's saying a lot. So after this I might just have to reread The Cruel Prince to get some of my like bad boys with dark hair like vibes satisfied. But so as for the like plot of the book, we're finally getting to where Bree knows a lot more about the order now, and she's learning like literally the next section is called Roots. So I think we're going to finally learn about Roots and her mom and like more on that, and I'm so interested in like how these two storylines are going to intertwine and like what that means for Bree and the order. And I'm just like, I really want to know how the book like sort of pulls all of the Arthurian legends in, and like there's just like little hints of it and stuff that I'm just really excited to see how it wraps up. I'm not sure if this is a like series. It kind of feels like a standalone, to be honest, so far. But you know, with YA stories you never really know. But I love Tracy Deonn's work so far. Like there's so much about this that I really love, like Bree and the like southern character to her, and having like a southern black story being told, and like being set on a southern campus that just like really like warms my heart and brings back all of these really warm memories for me. And like that's not, I normally don't like urban fantasies, so saying that I really like this is like, this book is really knocking it out of the park. So very excited to read the rest of it. I'm not sure how much more I'll read tonight, but definitely thank Mare Reads, my Queen Mare, for recommending this book to me. Alright, so I decided to come outside to get like a different bit of lighting. It's also like golden hour. But also because I didn't want you to see my messy house again. So anyways, so I'm like 320 pages into Legendborn. I've read like another 100 pages today. I am obsessed with this book. Like I cannot put it down. I need to know all of the answers. I am absolutely loving that we're finally getting a little bit more Selwyn, because like that was my main complaint so far, was that we did not get enough Selwyn. If you know my type, obviously. But Bree and his relationship is growing, and it did say like in the synopsis that there's a love triangle, so like I love her and Nick so much, but I'm also like Team Selwyn, so God, I feel like all these cars are judging me. Anyways, I'm loving that aspect of the book. Also, we're getting into like the trials, and so that it feels very like Hunger Games-y, Throne of Glass like vibes, which I love. Like, I love that so much. So I'm really loving that. We're finally starting to learn more about like root magic and where that comes from, and Bree's history and her family like dynamics. I'm really loving that. It reminds me a lot of the magic system in Conjure Women, just with like its roots and things like that. So I'm really enjoying that, and sort of having that type of magic system in more books. I really like that. Like kind of like Cemetery Boys with the magic system based on Mexican culture and indigenous Mexican culture, and the root magic of hoodoo of African American culture, specifically in the southern United States. So I've really loved that. Greer, they are my favorite. I love them so much. Greer and Sydney are my favorite like side characters. Witty too. I love all of them. I wish we had more of Sydney than just like the one scene where she was like, listen, Bree, I'm here to win, and that's it. I don't care about you. Nothing personal. I just want to win. And like, I love that. And then she was a badass, so it was great. And then Greer, we actually have a like with Greer, there's a non-binary character that uses they them pronouns, and like there has not been any shit about like people misgendering them, and I just really love that inclusion aspect. So, and just all of the cultural critiques of colonization and slavery that Bree is really bringing to the order, and with her like relationship with Patricia, I've just loved that aspect of it, and how seamlessly it's woven into the nature of the story. Like, it's not just a secondary commentary, like, and I really like that the cultural commentary about colonization and slavery is so integral to the story, and like that's what you find when you're reading own voices authors most of the time, whereas when I read white authors that have like POC characters or are trying to have that cultural commentary, a lot of times it just comes across as like 3 sentences where it's like, oh, we're going to address slavery and say it was bad, and like not actually go into the long-standing effects of slavery like Tracy Deonn has done in Legendborn. I also just think Tracy Deonn is such an amazing writer. I love her writing and like how she's developing story and theme. I think I will definitely pick up anything else she writes, so definitely excited for that. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know.
I love piano, I love piano, I love to hear that music play. Upon a piano, a grand piano, it simply carries me away.
What up, y'all? So tonight is the last night of the Simon Says challenge for the Disney Channel Games Readathon. I actually finished my book like last night. I like stayed up way too late finishing it because it was just so good. I loved it so much. Amara from Marrieds and I have been like texting about it all day today. But the book was 5 stars for me. It was just one of those YA fantasy books that like I was so sucked into the story. I was like cheering when things good happened. I was like gasping and screaming, and you know, I just haven't felt that way, especially about a YA book, in just a really long time. So I'm really glad that like I found one, because I was kind of worried there for a while that I was like, maybe YA fantasy just isn't for me anymore. But Legendborn really hit all of my things, even though it's probably not something I thought I would like. I think I talked about it earlier where I really didn't think I was going to like it that much, but spoiler alert, because I'm just going to kind of talk. I don't think it's going to be like necessarily spoilers, but anyways, I loved the ending. I love Tracy Deonn as a writer. Like, I think the way that she built this story was so clever. One of my only complaints probably is that it was a little insta-lovey on Nick's side. Like, he was in love with Bree, and it didn't really bother me until kind of the end, and we kind of realized why. Because from Bree's side, it was always kind of as a first, it really felt to me like a first crush reaction from her, whereas he, like, loved her. And she was like, the whole time was like, wait, Cel and I, like, have more in common, and, like, after the final twist at the end, like, you're like, oh, they need to have a deeper relationship, and I'm here for it because I love Cel so much as a character. I really love the way all of Bree's family history tied together, and, like, the commentary that it made too about these, like, elitist societies and stuff. I thought that was so well done. The way it all meshed together was so well. But Bree, like, really experienced all these microaggressions from a lot of people throughout the book, and then at the end it's kind of like, okay, now that she's actually in a place of power, the microaggressions turn into, like, real overt, not real, because microaggressions are still racism, but like legit, like, I am being a racist right now. Like, so many of the characters, it comes out of them, and it's just like, did you just say that? And then, because they really felt it, and they really believed that, like, Bree was not worthy of her position because of her race specifically and her gender. I think it's going to be one of the next really big YAs, and I hope it is. It deserves it. It's so good. Like, I think I haven't felt like that since Scythe, which I read a couple years ago, so, like, that was really awesome. I've been reading just, like, a lot of grimdark fantasy, and, like the Poppy War, and then also the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin, which are just, like, not really feel-good fun fantasies, and so I really loved finding this. I give it 5 stars. It was so good. Also, we just got done with White Christmas, weekend number 2, first show, but I look fab, so I thought I would film with my makeup on, but I still need to, like, make my